Hi Dan, this is Peyton, and this should be a quick little video tutorial on the Pauper Pox deck. The concept behind this deck comes from the Legacy Pox deck, which is all about resource denial. And while we don't have access to amazing cards like Smallpox and Sinkhole on MTGO for Pauper, we do have access to land destruction like Icequake and Rancid Earth, good creature removal, and good discard. Therefore, I created this deck. It is NBC-like and fairly simple to play. 23 Swamp, the mana base is very consistent. The goal is to be denying the opponent resources, and this can't be done if we fall behind on resources as well through fetching or Baron Moor, and Baron Moor doesn't help Corrupt, which is our primary win condition. So 23 Swamp is the mana base. For resource denial cards, there are three categories. There's Land Destruction, which is Icequake and Rancid Earth, and in the sideboard, one more Icequake. Rancid Earth has the potential to clear out some boards against things like goblins, and Icequake was going to deal 1 damage against an Icy Hot Hottie player, but other than that, they're basically just Stone Rains, and that's the only purpose that they serve. Very good against Izzet Boilerworks, Selesnya Sanctuary, Azorius Chancery, all those double lands. These cards are very good. Also any lands that are enchanted, like in Hexproof. When they Utopia Sprawl their forest, destroying that just gives you a little bit of extra advantage. The next class is Discard. In this case we have Wrench Mine and Duress. These are both good cards to have against control decks and creature decks, although Duress is better against control than creature decks, and both should do fairly nicely against combo as well. They're both very bad against Affinity, and usually against Affinity we lose 4 Wrench Mind and 2 Duress, and just add in things like Victim of Night and Liliana Spectre to help stabilize, because Affinity is going to be a rough matchup for this deck. Last but not least, we have creature removal, in this case Guess Verdict, Tendrils of Corruption, and Innocent Blood. There are only 2 creatures in the deck, so Innocent Blood really does not hurt us, and for only 1 mana at sorcery speed, making the opponent sacrifice something is pretty good. Guess Verdict is instant speed, 2 mana, sack something, only they do, and they lose a life. Marginally better than Diabolic Edict. Guess Verdict is an NBC staple. Tendrils of Corruption gains life and deals with bigger threats depending on the number of swamps we have. It's just a good card in general, and I like the 3 of. We have also some support cards. In this case we have Dark Ritual, Sign in Blood, and Skittering Scourge. I would consider these all support cards. Skittering Scourge makes our clock a whole lot faster, and it's just an extra little win condition, because Corrupt is generally how the deck wins. It deals the most damage based on the number of swamps, and you sort of have to hope and pray that it's not countered. But Skittering Scourge is a little bit of an extra win condition. Dark Ritual, if you are on the play and you need to smite an opponent's land turn 1, Dark Ritual will let you do that. It will also let you do multiple things per turn when combining things like land destruction and potentially discard when you have several swamps in play. It just adds a little bit of speed to the deck, a little bit of a burst at the cost of 4 slots. Sign in Blood is also pretty standard, just lets you draw extra cards for a little bit of life, and replaces itself in the hand, gives a bit of gas, is very important to keeping resource denial at its peak. The sideboard has 3 Crypt Rats, 4 Liliana Spectre, 3 Echoing Decay, a Tendrils, 3 Victim of Night, and an Icequake. So the board is primarily removal. All of the removal is against creature decks, and Crypt Rats is also generally against creature decks. They might start to pose a bit of a problem if we let them get some kind of board presence. So Crypt Rats is important for wiping. Echoing Decay is also usually a fairly effective board wipe against token decks and the like. Victim of Night is basically the best spot removal that the deck can have, as, I mean, it kills almost every single creature for 2 black mana at instant speed. And the extra Tendrils is for bigger threats, and it gains back some life. Icequake comes in against decks like Tron, or decks that don't have a lot of lands like Burn, when you need to be continually depleting what they have as far as a mana base is you absolutely want to keep them off mana and prevent them from casting multiple burn spells per turn. Land destruction is very good for that. Liliana's Spectre is very good at playing the 2-for-1 game, and turn 1 off of a Dark Ritual, pretty effective, and it's also a little bit of a clock too, although primarily for discard. They usually have to answer it as a 2-1 flyer, can sometimes just poke the opponent to death. For a more detailed sideboard plan, see the deck stats page. Yes, I finished the sideboard plan. This should take care of basically every common deck that you might see in the tournament practice room. And hopefully this is helpful. If you have any more questions, feel free to send me an email. I hope the deck does well, and if it doesn't, well, it's purely experimental, so we can revise it from there. Thank you, and sorry if I sound a little bit convoluted. I am ill at the moment, and I cannot breathe through my nose. Good luck in the gauntlet. Hope to speak with you soon.